Hello. Hi everyone, it's your favorite movie critic guy of them all, Josh, and today we are going to review The Favorite. The Favorite was written by Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara. It was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who has quickly become one of my favorite directors working today. Yorgos Lanthimos is a Greek filmmaker, screenwriter, and producer. He makes very interesting and ambiguous films with thought-provoking, bizarre, and darkly comical stories where it's never really clear who or what you should be cheering for. He does all of those things with this newest film here, which is probably his most accessible film yet. However, while this is his most accessible film yet, that still does not mean that it's going to be for everyone. If you go into The Favorite expecting a safe, clean, and fine period piece, you are in for a very unpleasant surprise. The story of The Favorite takes place in 18th century England, who is currently at war with the French during this time. England is led by Queen Anne, played by Olivia Colman, who's this hilariously incompetent leader, recently struck with tragedy and health issues. Because of all of her issues, Queen Anne bestows most of her responsibilities to her close friend and lover, Sarah, played by Rachel Weisz, who pretty much calls all the shots on the current war with the French. After a new servant named Abigail, played by Emma Stone, is taken under the wing of Sarah, she tries to use her new position to win the favor of the Queen and move up in the ranks while simultaneously undermining the authority of Sarah. So I'm not a huge fan of period pieces personally. It's not the type of genre I would look for if I felt like watching a movie. But The Favorite is no ordinary period piece. In fact, if you hate period pieces, I think you'll like this film. That's largely due to the fact that it really takes the piss out of all of the formalities and nice appearances of 18th century royalty. I love how the Queen is not this powerful know-it-all figure like we're used to seeing. She is instead this pathetic, childish person who is so incompetent that she can't even deliver a tough speech to Parliament without passing out. She even throws a bunch of silly tantrums throughout the movie. I love the one scene where she yells out the window at this violin quartet to stop playing, who all awkwardly stop and just run away. From the dialogue, to the dancing, to the way men and women behave, Yorgos Lanthimos was clearly not interested in being historically accurate about Queen Anne. He's not interested in showing the beauty of this time period, and he doesn't dwell on the good things that these characters are capable of, which I really liked. I like this film a lot. Yorgos Lanthimos' transgressive and absurd style of filmmaking is paired up so well with this material. Yorgos Lanthimos did not write the script to this film with his usual partner, but you can still tell that he put his dark worldview into the story, and there are certain aspects of his old films that show up in this one. This film and his last two films have felt like an entertaining sick game, where you had these characters who feel more like pawns who have to accomplish a certain goal before time runs out. In The Lobster, people need to find a partner before they're sent off the reservation to become an animal of their choice. In The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Colin Farrell needs to find a way to break the curse from that annoying-ass kid before his loved ones die. And in The Favorite, Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz need to win the favor of the Queen before the other one does to protect their power and influence. In the process of achieving their goal, these characters will often do ridiculous things just to get ahead, like really hurting themselves physically or trying to seduce others. And the seduction and sex scenes that do happen in Yorgos' films are very far from being seductive and sexy. This is the second straight film from him where there's been a really uncomfortable handjob scene where the character performing the handjob is just visibly trying to get it over with. Ugh. As this absurd, sick game comes to a conclusion, you're left wondering if winning was even attainable in the first place. And that leads me to another common trait that shows up in his films, which is this pervading sense of moral ambiguity. The characters in his films never really fall into this moral binary of good or bad, and that's mainly because he shows both the best and worst sides of each character. Often I'll find myself hating a character one moment and then eventually liking them more later on. This is definitely the case with the Queen, who's this really annoying and hopeless character at first, but as the film goes on and you learn more about what made her the way she is, you really start to sympathize with her. Conversely, Emma Stone's character starts out being very likable, but as her true colors start to show, she becomes incredibly unlikable. I think the point that Yorgos Lanthimos is trying to nail home here is that good or bad really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters are the silly things these characters are willing to do to get what they want. Being noble and loyal doesn't mean shit because it's not going to get you anywhere. Just ask Ned Stark. Personally, I like the moral murkiness that this film has because it makes the experience a lot more unpredictable and thought-provoking. Now, with all that said, I still do think there are things about The Favorite that separates it from the other two films I've been comparing it to a lot. The first being that this film does take place in a much different time period than all the other films he's made, and this is a lot more accessible. I think if someone wanted to get into Yorgos Lanthimos' filmography, this is where they would start. The dialogue is not nearly as monotone and deadpan like it has been in the past, which is honestly a good thing. I was starting to get really tired of it at some points in The Killing of a Sacred Deer. There are no supernatural elements in this film like there are in the other two, and this is probably the most comedic out of the three. There are so many things to like about The Favorite. The writing, the direction, the acting, which is excellent. All three leading actresses in this film will probably be nominated for an Oscar. Olivia Colman will probably end up winning a bunch of shit because she just knocks it out of the park. The story is so strong with so much complexity, symbolism, wit, and great obscene one-liners. I love the line that happens after Rachel Weisz tells Olivia Colman to send Emma Stone away, and Olivia Colman simply says, "I will not. I like it when she puts her tongue inside me." Okay. The cinematography is the only aspect of this film that I had some grievances with. And don't get me wrong, the cinematography in The Favorite is not bad. It's still going to be better than a lot of what you're going to see from every other film this year. Love that they shot it on film. It looks beautiful. Loved all of the whip pans and the really fast dolly shots. What I didn't like was some of the wide shots, more specifically the ones that use a really intense fisheye lens that causes some extreme edge distortion. There are also some lens flares that we see as the camera roams down the hallways with these big windows inside this castle that looked really distracting. This is a nitpick, but there's a warp stabilizer effect that was clearly used on one of the dolly shots that just was very noticeable. It made part of the room look like jello. They could have maybe trimmed 5 minutes off of the third act, which got a little slow at one point. But this is truly a great film. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy watching it, and I can't wait to see this again. I'm going to give The Favorite a 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching this review, guys. You are so kind. Be sure to leave a comment with your thoughts and feelings on The Favorite in the comment section below. Be sure to check out the other content on my channel. I did a review on Yorgos Lanthimos' previous film, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which you might be interested in watching. Hit the like button if you like what you see, or share this video, or both, whichever you prefer. I don't care. And if you dig the channel, then as always, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. This is your favorite movie critic guy, Josh, signing off until next time.